Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. For the first time, I'm not going to use an external microphone for this entire video, and I'm only going to use two phones, which is the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which I'm recording on right now with the front camera, and then also I'll be using the Galaxy S26 Ultra for all other footage. So I'll rotate between the two as I compare both of these phones. Just remember, all content is just on these phones, no external microphones, no nothing, just the phones themselves. So a lot of companies don't advertise the next model of for the next year as a major upgrade over the current year. They always go back 2 to 3 generations. But in reality, consumers, they know consumers trade in, some consumers trade in every year, and they grab the next model and they trade in that current model that they have, which was, let's just say it's the 23, and they go to the 24. So it's getting so good, and phones have just kind of, how good can a phone actually get? And Samsung is playing it safe still. They're not doing anything wrong per se, but they are playing it safe to the point where they're still able to sustain a good flow of phones coming in and out, and they're still profitable, obviously, because the Galaxy S26 Ultra, these little tweaks that companies do, they do just enough to try to get you to upgrade, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to switch now over to the Galaxy S26 Ultra's front camera, and we'll continue this conversation. And now here's the S26 Ultra up on the tripod. And here's the S25 Ultra, which I still genuinely like. So the audio and everything that you hear from these products these devices are coming these devices are coming from the microphones themselves. I do prefer to use an external microphone, but in this test, I'm going to try and stay in a quiet enough area when I'm going to be doing some talking, so you can kind of get a gist of how the microphones are going to be and how they're going to sound for you. If you decide that I'm just going to use my phone for everything, for my website or my channel, and I'm not going to use an external microphone. And in this case, both of these phones can do this because you do have what's called Pro mode, where I can actually adjust the microphone gains to what I would like. So right now, this video and the video you just saw from the S25 Ultra, I'm not in Pro mode. I'm just in regular old portrait mode, shooting with the front camera. And this speaks volumes to how well the microphones, and just how in general, how phones have gotten so good. Like how much better can a company get instead of switching to a new product? Like, they're going to have to come out with something new, because I think by now we've figured out that, they've mastered the art of the Ultra lineup. Like, what more can they do? The only thing they can do is switch to silicon batteries and maybe make it thinner, or, add some new thing to the heart, something, because this is just the lineup and it's not broken. So they're not going to make any major changes. So I suggest they come out with a new product altogether. But what other products could they come out with? Because they've pretty much done a trifold. They're doing it all. They are doing it all. Yeah, I don't know. What next could they do? Anyway, this is the front camera. And the reason I'm using the front camera is because some people shoot front cameras. And here's a vlogging tip for people who use the front camera. Don't do this. Don't look at yourself. Look at the camera. And I know that's very difficult because you can't put it like a little red arrow or something, or some kind of tab on the front of your phone when you're vlogging. Because I see so many videos, they're great videos, but they're not looking at the camera, and they look at the screen the entire time. They're just looking at themselves instead of looking at the camera, and it's kind of weird. But nonetheless, how are the camera qualities different from this front camera on the S26 Ultra versus the S25 Ultra so far?
Now, if you're if you're worried about battery life, I don't think you have to worry as much with the Galaxy S25 Ultra. My S25 Ultra lasts for quite some time, and it is a very strong battery in here. Obviously, this phone is a year old, and so it's nice and broken in. But other than that, I don't think the battery life on this phone has ever been a problem for a lot of people. And on the Galaxy S26 Ultra, I'll talk about that in a second. But battery life on this thing, and also performance, they're gonna perform about the same. While you do have new tweaks to the hardware internally for the S26 Ultra, I don't think S25 Ultra people should be worried about anything as far as performance or battery. The S26 Ultra battery doesn't last as long as the Galaxy S25 Ultra right now, but I think it's just because it's still fairly new for me and I'm using it every day, and maybe I'm using it more. But when you first get a device, you really hit it hard when you first get it, and then over time you're not really concerned about it that much more. But In the end, I think this battery will level out. And like I said before, I wish Samsung would have done a bigger battery and coupled with that that internal upgrade that they gave, it probably could have been a lot better. But as far as performance goes, I don't see any other tweaks that are different on this phone or something that makes it better than the previous gen S25 Ultra. They both perform the same. While this doesn't have as strong a battery right now, I do anticipate that it'll get better. And now something that a lot of people think very highly of is the hardware. Now, some people love this boxy design on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. It's okay for me, but again, you already know I like a more rounded design. But when I compare the camera islands to the Galaxy S26 Ultra's camera islands, some of you guys said you prefer this without the stage on top, under the lens. And I get it, it's a personal preference. I do, at least they have the lenses separated still on both models. I particularly don't like when the lenses are like joined into one big module. But overall, the hardware is definitely more flat and squared off in this design in comparison to the Galaxy S26 Ultra. But in turn, they're still pretty much the same. You get a different kind of flat or lifted S Pen. You can see there, it doesn't curve to the body, unlike the S26 Ultra. So they did these little fine tweaks just to kind of make things a little different from device to device that some people might notice and some people might not notice. So now looking at the S26 Ultra, again, that camera module, some people don't like it. I think it's pretty cool, but I don't know if they did that for just design purposes or it's making the cameras better. I'm sure you'll be able to tell me. You guys are experts in the comment section. But yeah, again, a more rounded design on the corners here, which I really prefer. It's just that little bit of extra that makes it feel so much better in hand. And then when you come down to the S Pen, they've curved the S Pen with the flow of the body. And it still protrudes just a little bit, but just not like on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And again, you can really see those rounded corners on there from when they're doing the hardware and making that subtle change. But the screen and everything seems to be the same. Nothing different. Still great quality. I do have a privacy glass on my S26 Ultra, so that might make it, you can see I have an official privacy glass, even though this has privacy display. But nonetheless, the quality of this screen versus the S25 Ultra, it's about the same. All right, now for this portion of the video, this is the rear camera, and I'm just holding the phone now in a handheld tripod, but that CBC, I'm moving around. But yeah, this is the rear camera. I think the rear cameras should be like this highlight of the phone, but I have run into some phones where the rear camera isn't as good as the front camera for vlogging. But when vlogging, this is obviously easier because you're going to look at the cameras. There's no screen to distract you, if you will. So anyway, this is the S25 Ultra's rear camera. And now I'm going to switch over to the Galaxy S26 Ultra's rear camera. All right, now here's the S26 Ultra's rear cameras, and just tell me what you think about this, man. I think when I first started talking about the cameras on the S26 Ultra, some of you guys got so upset that the tones and stuff were different from front and rear camera. Folks, again, that's just how it is. This one camera is going to perform different. Is a better camera, so to speak. But the S26 Ultra's cameras versus the S25 cameras directly. How do you feel about the difference in what you're seeing now? Is this a major upgrade over the S25 Ultra? Even though Samsung doesn't advertise it that way, the challenge here is for the S26 Ultra to really outperform because essentially the people that upgraded from the S25 Ultra to the S26 Ultra and you traded in your S25 Ultra, you're looking for probably some good upgrades and better performance. So what do you guys think about this performance from the Galaxy S26 Ultra's rear cameras? So now I'm going to go ahead and close out this short video comparison of the two with the front camera on the Galaxy S26 Ultra. So my thoughts. If you have, obviously, and I've gone over this in plenty of videos, but if you have the Galaxy S25 Ultra, if you choose to upgrade, hopefully this helps you, learn a little bit about what types of small things you're getting. Now, I didn't go over the sensors and all that because there are tweaks internally that Samsung has done to make the Galaxy S26 Ultra better. But is it really enough? And for people that do upgrade every year, you're not probably doing it because, you want to
see a huge improvement. You just want the latest device, and that's okay. There's a lot of people that do this, and I'm one of them because of the tech reviews. But personally, I would not upgrade every year. In the past, when tech wasn't where it was, these things were just tools, and a phone was just a phone. Like, I wasn't into, I've always been into technology, but I didn't, like, in my regular life when I was still in the corporate world, a phone was a phone. Well, I should say a beeper or a pager was a pager at the time. And we didn't change every time something new came out. We just kept our same one, Some of us were actually, I got a little angry when they would discontinue something that you got used to, and you had to switch to the new whatever because the services wasn't compatible and things like that. So, but with current day tech, people upgrade every year. They call it an upgrade. And are they really getting an upgrade? When you do a trade-in program every year, are you really winning? I mean, because you're getting a lower amount for your phone. And unless you got that phone for free to start initially, pardon me, unless you got that phone for free, and you just didn't pay any money for it, and you got into the trade-in system like that, are you still winning? Like, initially, yes, you're winning. But are you winning? Because at some point you have to come out of pocket for the difference. They're not going to give you the full credit back. But if you can some people are in this trade-in cycle. You are. Some of us are in a trade-in cycle. And for me, it's a little different, obviously, because, I earn revenue here. And then a lot of the phones I get at a big discount to start. Like, I got this phone for a huge discount to start. And I got my S20 going backwards. I got them like pretty much all half off. And I got the S26 Ultra for half off. And at some point, I got one of the phones, I think I got one of the 22s or 23s at no cost. I don't even remember. But if you're in that cycle and you're not coming out of pocket a lot, are you winning? Probably, yeah. If you start off with a free phone and then you start getting them half off, and yeah. But Samsung's remained very profitable because they definitely have the best trade-in program. They give you $1,000 for some phones a year later that did cost $1,500 to $1,800. However, other companies don't do that. They don't give those huge discounts and giving you something like half of your money back. They just don't do it. Depending on the product, phones, I'll say. Let's just stick to phones. I don't know of another company that's giving you a trade-in and giving you half of your money back or more other than Samsung. And I think that's what entices a lot of people to keep switching every year. I think that's what they're doing. So in the end, I mean, you need to determine whether or not this is a major upgrade for you. The prices did increase this year. So I don't think some people even noticed that, but the prices did increase because people focus more on the trade-in values. But the prices did increase. And I think it was 100 or 200, 100 each one or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, it's the same product, refined, still great. And I think a lot of people who switch from the 25 to the 26, you're going to have to look for reasons why you think it's better. And for me, it simply just came down to like the hardware and, it feels better in the hand. The camera is made a little, just little small things, and it's more rounded, which is what I like too. Other than that, folks, I knew that I was getting into a situation every year with almost all phones that I'm not getting any major changes, except for this company. They made some major tweaks. I absolutely love both of these phones. I will compare them coming up shortly. Some of you guys are still requesting that. But even leaks of all the new pixels and things like that, these phones are not changing very much. And when Apple stretched out their camera module like this, I was like, this is horrible. But once I decided to put a case on it, I bought all the iPhones and I'm good with it. So I really feel like you're going to have to determine whether or not you think something is great or good enough for an upgrade or to switch from the one you have to the new model. That's on you. And I hope you guys can make an informed decision, not just based on YouTube videos, but I know this is how a lot of people actually shop. They look for their products on YouTube. And then, it helps them make a decision that they want in some kind of confirmation. So it's your man Jay. I hope you guys enjoyed S25 Ultra to the S26 Ultra. Should you officially do it if you haven't done it yet? See you in the next video. Take care.